How you feel?
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Except I couldn't understand what the heck you were just talking about for the last hour.
That's okay. So yeah, I would love to ask the question to all of you guys, and I think I'll start with you, Elliott. What does a life filled with life mean to you?
Jesus Christ. He is the life. And when my life is filled with him, I am no longer, but I am a vessel for the Holy Spirit. And when I get out the way, God is dominating that day. This dude, he don't know what he's doing. He's just a fool. And anything you've seen this dude do, absent of guidance from above, ain't nothing but mud. Life full of life, and Jesus Christ is right, is light, is might. Not my strength. It's found through surrender. My brain has been through a blender. When I let go, and I let him flow through this vessel, everything is mighty fine. But it ain't mine. It's his.
Give it up. So Oren, talk about the conversation that we had, because you just met Elliott, and talk about the conversation that we had like 2 hours ago while we're in a taxi going to this venue.
Which part of the conversation?
About spoken word.
Oh, yeah. I was speaking about the different ways that we express ourselves, and essentially we are all artists at heart. And when we trust that and trust our voice and we're willing to surrender and show up, what expresses itself through us is our form of art. And if you can talk, you can sing. If you can move and walk, you can dance. And so we're all artists at heart.
And the conversation was about you being in flow and having sort of like memories of words rhyming.
Right.
And it's beautiful to see you now in flow and like you're spitting bars. So this is amazing.
Not me, bro.
No, that's true. That's true.
God bars.
I'm getting out the way.
Like, nice. Yeah, what do you see? What does a life filled with life mean to you?
So I had this vision maybe about 20 years ago, and I imagined my life at the end of my life, sitting around with my friends, reminiscing, and I imagined something that actually terrified me and liberated me at the same time, and I imagined what my life would look like, what it would feel like if I still had my music in me, if I still had regrets, and I really just made a decision in that moment to, God willing, give myself, my heart, my love, and don't hold on to anything, and live this life to where I feel empty in the end. Or like in sports, they say, leave it all on the court. And so I've devoted to living my life that way. And I feel like I'm living when I surrender to life, when I surrender to God, when I surrender to the energy of life and my gifts that wants to move through me. And when I feel most myself, like in the truest sense, I feel alive. It's when I feel connected to my brothers and sisters. And yeah, to me, that's satisfaction, that's fulfillment, that's a life worth living, is giving ourselves fully.
So can you top that, Joe?
Yeah, I think I can. No,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is you asking me now?
Yeah.
Is this on?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a life filled with life. I often tell young people that if I knew being successful was this much work, I would have stuck with being a loser. Because you have to go through a lot in order to achieve stuff. So I think problems. A life filled with life is a lot of problems because I think convenience kills people. I think when things, if everything works out all the time, you would get bored shitless. And people have to invent problems if they have so much leisure. Things that feel really fulfilling are that which is earned. Anything received free of charge is seldom valued. So I think having, but if you have so much pain though and so much struggle, that sucks also. So there's a life filled with life, I guess I would interpret overcoming the problems that are faced with us, not as expecting problems to not exist, but knowing that they're there to help you resource yourself. And again, I say this, a good part of my life, I didn't have hardly any gratitude. I was a drug addict early on in life, and I struggled with a lot of addiction in my life, starting in my, as a kid basically, because I had a lot of physical and sexual abuse, and so I didn't really enjoy several decades of my life. I figured out how to make money, but even then, I was constantly not connected that much with it. So I think there's that saying, he or she who has their health has 1,000 dreams. He or she who does not have their health has only one. And so the reason that I'm able to have aspirations, and all of us are sitting here because we're not laid up in a hospital somewhere, right? So I think having gratitude for that, because there's at least 3 billion people on the planet that would do anything to change places with almost any of us for even a day, right? So having appreciation and not forgetting that part of life is all of it. It's the struggles, it's the rejections, it's the fears, but being able to take risks anyway and not be so like your whole, for what I could read, what is possible, knowing that you can fashion and design your own future and not losing that hope, because fake hope, when people sell hopium to someone, hope used in the wrong way is very destructive, but hope used in the right way actually heals. And so being able to not only encourage others, but being able to encourage yourself and have it be, really significant to me is life. And of course, making fun of people and sarcasm, and I don't know what the humor level is out here, but it's, you can usually gauge the value of most relationships with how often you laugh with someone. Like, for instance, so Dr. Shiriyong, I just got to say this since I have the mic. I mean, what other opportunity am I going to have here? So this is her.
Joe is a marketer by heart. That's how he started his business. One of the most brilliant marketers in the world. And obviously, he brought a book.
Yes.
always be selling, always be closing.
Yeah. So Dr. Shiriyong's book is Everything Men Know About Vaginas, because she is a vaginal plastic surgeon. True story. She's one of the best in the world. And so, can you hold this for just a moment? So we got so Everything Men Know About Vaginas, and page 10, if you can see it, it's blank. It's completely blank. So to me, that's funny, right? Because you know how many men are in the room that just consumes half their life just struggling with this whole issue. So there we go. But no, you got to have a lot of fun and hang around people that are fun. And if they're miserable, so cut all ties with dishonest, negative, and lazy people, and you will have more time for life spent with people that are easy, lucrative, and fun versus people that are hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. So if you want elf versus half, that's how I think about everything. Is this person project thing, is it easy, lucrative, and fun, or is it hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating? But in order to get to easy, you actually have to work pretty hard in order to set up an elf life. So that's my spiel.
It was interesting. I had a conversation with Ellen a while ago, and of course we were talking about you, and you are quite known for being like maybe the most or one of the most connected people on earth, and if people talk about you, they oftentimes say that, yeah, he's really good at connecting with people or connecting people, but you said something interesting. Can you recall what you said about Joe?
Sure. Yeah, so just so you know, Joe has a group called Genius Network, and a lot of people come to Genius Network to make more money and to get better at business and marketing and all these things. And after about 2 years of being in it, I realized, wait a second, this isn't a business network. This is a friendship network. Joe is one of the best friends. Him talking about Sean Stevenson and all of his really great friends. You look in the room and people are like, hey, I'm here because Joe showed up in a really dark time in my life. Joe showed up at the hospital. Joe just shows up for his friends. And he does anything possible. You're talking about possibilities. And having a great friend who is open to the possibilities, not just for himself, but for everyone around him, I think is a beautiful thing. So actually, we were talking about it even in the green room, and this is a friendship connection. This whole panel, we didn't fly out here because, because so famous and he's such a great business guy, which is all true. He's amazing. But we flew out here because he's such a great friend. And so you see a panel of people who spent 16, 20, 24 hours in airports to make it for this event because he's been such a good friend to us. So I'm just really thankful.
Yes.
So Ellen, and thank you for those amazing words. What does a life filled with life mean to you?
So this is deeply personal to me. My name actually means light. Ellen means light. And a life filled with life for me is to bring light into the darkness. I think life is really hard. And so showing up and being able to have joy and true joy, right? Joy and laughter and fun and showing up for people in places where life just gets really hard. I love friendship. I know you've probably already figured that out, but showing up for someone in their dark time, I think, is one of the most beautiful gifts you can ever give someone. My grandma was actually a very spiritual Christian woman, and she died when I was 2 years old. And yet, she wrote a letter to every single one of her grandchildren. And even though I was 2 years old, she wrote a letter that literally has explained my life. But she wrote, Ellen, you're going to grow up and you're going to be a light in the darkness, and you're going to slay giants. You're going to slay the darkness that is the giants of darkness. And it's just been really interesting to see how over my life, how God has used friendship and my name and all these people around me to be, as I hope, a light to the world.
Yeah. Pelo, what does a life filled with life look or mean to you?
Wow. Firstly, thank you for having me here, Eelco. It's just such an honor. And, for me, it is always about context, and being able to understand your context, and once you understand your context, you are able to then concentrate on yourself and the things that you dream of. In my case, first and foremost, what Elliott had spoken about around spirituality, for me, it's the first base, that needs to be fed, because that then will illuminate to others. And as a result of that, for me, being close to family is one of the greatest roots that brings about, that life filled with fulfillment. And, once you have a sense of understanding of self, the world becomes your oyster, and this had been the case as well for me, coming from a small town in South Africa, trying to hit the big city, and, ultimately in the realm of the big city, you are still able to navigate yourself to being able to live your wildest dreams, being here is one of my wildest dreams, this is a city that I've always loved, and, having come from that small town, I would have never imagined it, but because I kept close to being, kept close to self, that allowed me to then being able to elevate to my highest form.
Thank you. Thank you. Cherie, what about you?
This is it. For me, that question is being enough, and just being enough, and that is an internal state of presence, and just being enough with who you are and being complete with who you are. It is something that is not external, that you don't need someone's permission or someone's level of authority to tell you what that is. And once you are enough, then what happens is that you can achieve whatever you want. you can do whatever you want, and you can give as much as possible to others. And that's come a space of making a choice. At that moment, there's nothing else that you really need because you're enough, and you're complete with what you want and how you feel inside, and then you can give. And when you give to others, what happens is that that can really expand into something that you can't really express, because the feeling that I get from helping someone or seeing the transformation of someone else is the biggest joy that I can get personally. And so that starts with, just being completely complete and filled. And this is it. I mean, just all of us being here today to celebrate friendship and just being with Eelco and seeing your son on stage and all these people here being present together and just being able to celebrate a great person and a great place in Amsterdam. It's my first time in Amsterdam, so this is awesome. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you. What are your thoughts around if you have this belief, almost like a core belief that you're not enough? Like if you really feel like, man, I feel not enough, or I think that I'm not enough, or I need to do better or more or whatever, and obviously you'll never get there. What are your thoughts around, or what would you advise people who have that belief or the feeling that they are not enough?
That's very common. I mean, I grew up in Malaysia, so when I was 22 years old, I decided to leave Malaysia and come to America on my own. And at that moment, my entire life, I was always measuring myself and success with someone else's opinion of me. And it was just hard throughout this whole time. But the moment I understood and being able, I think the big thing was to start with loving yourself. I think that's the first thing. You're enough, you love yourself, you're able to remember who you were while you were born, and then being able to connect with that. And once you love yourself, then you know that you're really a perfect human being and a perfect life that is present at every time. And that's not easy. I've walked through my own journey. I've done a lot of therapy and plant medicines, and just believing that that is possible and there is ability to do that. And people find different ways to do it. Sometimes it's through work and to flow, to different music and creativity. But sometimes it's just quiet meditation. I think I can't tell you where to find it, but just know it's inside of you.
Thank you, that's beautiful. Sam, any thoughts on that, or the question, what does a life filled with life mean to you?
The question about meaning, the question about not enough?
Yeah. I know you work with a lot of people and you actually help them with topics like this.
Yeah.
Also for entrepreneurs, like emotional intelligence or emotional maturity, any thoughts, whatever comes through you?
That would be a long conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Also, Sam is a psychiatrist too. Who does not prescribe medications, which is interesting.
So, okay, can I answer the first question first, and I'll jump to that. A life filled with life is a life filled with peace, purpose, meaning, joy, excitement, authenticity, abundance, acceptance, presence. And I think I would imagine there's probably a lot more. But it boils down to peace initially, and I'll connect that with acceptance. In order for you to feel peaceful, it's important for you to accept your starting point, where you are. what the current situation is in order to move beyond it. It's important for us to focus on what we want, what we have, instead of focusing on what we fear and what we lack. That's where appreciation comes in and connection. That's my answer to the first question. For the second question of not feeling enough, it usually comes from something we've witnessed or experienced that made us feel that way. So the solution would be to connect with that part, acknowledge how you feel about not feeling enough. So if I feel like I'm not enough, what am I feeling that I'd rather not feel? I feel ashamed. I feel sad. I feel miserable. Whatever the emotions are, it's unique to each individual. And if we focus on just speaking the truth, there's so much power. We can't be authentic if we don't tell the truth. We can't change anything if we don't tell the truth. So I would say start by expressing the truth about how you feel, about what you don't like in your life.
Thank you.
Of course.
What are your thoughts on all of this?
I agree with what's been shared so far, and in particular, like anytime it's almost like a lost superpower to be able to feel something without analyzing it, without trying to fix, change, improve something. And I think our minds can't even comprehend how healing that is, to be with a feeling, to be with a part of ourselves, and just the same way we would be with a child, right? You know, a child who's hurting or confused, we probably wouldn't pull out our best personal spiritual development tool or philosophy trying to change. It's just the energy of like, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're experiencing right now is okay. Which is another way of saying like, you're okay. It's okay. And I feel like the simplicity of that is what allows love to find us again. And it's where we can relax in our heart again and experience the presence of love, which is always present, experience the presence of God, which is always present. And I also feel like speaking our truth is self-love in action, right? Because usually we're not speaking the truth in our heart because we're consciously or unconsciously devaluing ourselves. We're comparing ourselves to something, some idea somewhere along the line. But there's something so loving and honorable about speaking our truth. And it's like an affirmation of self-love.
Amazing, thank you. Elliott, what are your thoughts? Or anything?
I'm not enough, and I'll never be enough. The whole concept of enough is a mind fuck, because that means you have a concept of what enough actually is, and that means that I can do it. I can have the conversation about trying to be enough, and that will cause angst. I can have the conversation about I am enough, and that can cause complacency and pride. But when we drop the conversation altogether and rest in Christ, enough is found in Him. So there's nothing I need to do, there's nothing I need to say, there's no way I need to be, except just me. And when the whole charade is dropped, we can allow ourselves to be a whole lot more than a limitation of our conception of enough. So to me, enough is enough. Drop the conversation, and that's the good stuff.
Awesome, thank you. So Joe, what are you most excited about right now, or not right now, but in these days, these times?
Wow. What am I most excited about that I could say to a group of people here?
Yeah. Talk about Genius Youth.
Yeah. So we just did we did our first Genius Youth, and it's young adults between the ages of 18 to 24. But we had a couple of 16-year-olds, and we had a couple that were the oldest was 28 years old, and it was mind blowing because I brought in Dr. Robert Cialdini. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dr. Robert Cialdini here, but he's wrote the book. He's like the godfather of influence.
Yeah, so if you've been following me around for the last decade or even 2 decades, and you've seen my marketing, my webinars, my sales pages, my launches, everything is based on the principles from Robert Cialdini from the book Influence, which is one of the greatest marketing books ever. And that you have Robert Cialdini, which is an absolute legend, working with the youth, that's amazing.
Yeah, so he was the first speaker that we had for them, and he's the most cited living social psychologist. Warren Buffett endorses his book, so everyone should read the book Influence. It's phenomenal. And then what we're attempting to do with Genius Youth is, so Genius Network is a connection network, so we want young people to be as connected as humanly possible with themselves, with skills, with capabilities, and with life. And so we want to expose them to things. We had a guy a very famous chef named Mark Tarbell, taught him how to cook. Then they had a pizza making contest, and then they taught hospitality. We took them to a bank so they can learn about finance. We had a guy who's a Wim Hof instructor who taught them breath work, and then we had cold plunges. Every single one of them did a cold plunge. I then brought in, I'm developing a nutrition app right now. I have a lot of different things that I do, but we had a guy who created a 23-year-old who created an app that helps young people stop watching porn. And he's bringing in $300,000 a month right now with super high margins. And he went from raising zero money from $3,000 to $3 million in the last 12 months. And just exposing them to what is possible, lit them up. And I had one gal there that ran the forum group in the evening for these young people, who has been a dean of 4 different universities and a president of 3 different universities, including she was a dean at ASU, which is the largest, public university in America. And basically, she said, I've never seen anything in universities or colleges because it teaches them life skills. So part of it is just, it's all the stuff that I wish I would have learned when I was that age. Because I'm just as much of a student. Start with the beginner's mind, the way that I try to approach life that way, and just expose young people, because there's 3 ways to learn something. You learn through the school of hard knocks. You go out and you just try to figure stuff out. You bumble around. You'll figure things out, but that's not a very effective way to learn something. Second way to learn is learn through the experiences of other people. Read their books, listen to their podcasts, go to their events. I mean, everyone here wants something. You're coming to learn. I flew out here because I want something. I want you to be happy. I want us to have a good time. We all want something, but part of it is you want to make sure that your give is equal to or greater than your want. You want to be a giver, not a taker, because life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. So one of the fundamental things we're trying to expose young people to is that be a giver. Well, what do you give? Well, give your if you're with someone. Has anyone ever sat with someone while they're dying on their deathbed? Anyone here? Yeah, you can't fix it, right? But what you can do is you can be present with them. So one of the things that we want to teach young people is to just connect with yourself and with others. So it's not just intellectual, but it's physical, which is why we brought in breathing and things like that. And so this woman, Pardis is her name. I have a whole curriculum, and I'm not running it, because what the hell do I know? So I've brought together some really smart people, a 20-year-old named Priya, who's amazing. So I'm super excited about Genius Youth, and I'm super excited to help. Most of my time is spent with helping people with addiction recovery, and it helps me with my recovery by doing that. And so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, okay. I was quite close getting Wim for the next 3 days, but he's in Spain, and he was super excited to see you, Elliott. Yeah, and could you spend some time with him?
Sam's good friends with Wim also. Yeah.
What was that experience like for you, working with Wim Hof?
He's so charismatic and fun. Getting in the ice bath is just one thing, but the rest of it is just like he's a traveling party. You know, dancing. I mean, I've never been greeted by someone dancing. You know, I'm walking up the driveway and he's breakdancing in front of me, runs up and gives me a big hug. Dog's licking me. He's down to do anything. And we've got a really great video on YouTube, the two of us. And we had a tender, loving moment together in the ice bath. Yeah. Told him I love. He probably thought it was the weirdest thing. I was just feeling the spirit. I was just like, I love you, man. He kind of looked at me crosswise. That's the first time I saw him uncomfortable the whole day. I was like, dude, you're dancing with your dog, and you can't tell me you love me back? And after a little hesitation, he was like, yeah, I love you too.
You know what, though? If you get that experience again, you should tell him, I'm going to baptize you now, and just dunk his head under it. Yeah.
Baptized with ice.
Pelo, what are you most excited about right now, or these days?
Yo, I'm quite excited with a lot of things. I think particularly like, you know what, the continent of Africa has in store. There's a lot of the work that we do back at home is to electrify using renewable sources, solar and wind. So we have an opportunity to, on the one hand, to being able to do that, get off, the myth of the dark continent. So the ability or the opportunity, we speak a lot of the things that we're speaking about here today, is a lot of privilege, and for me, privilege needs to be shared, Those who are privileged need to reach out to those who are not. And in our context, we have the opportunity to then be able to electrify the continent, which is very exciting. But whilst doing that, we just use energy as a conduit. The real work that we're doing is that where these power plants usually are, it's usually in areas that are rural or that don't have a lot of economic activity. So we use the power plant then to being able to uplift that community in the long term. Developing people, electrifying places where people meet, and then building new industries around that, And for me, it's about sharing that experience also with people around the world, to saying, let's do it together. You've had the advantage of being, some steps ahead, but come see it, but also enjoy it while we're doing it. I was speaking to some of the colleagues here around, coming through also to South Africa to being able to see, just not maybe read or be exposed to the things that you perhaps read. There's so much richness in that, and for me, the opportunity to being able to do that is one of the most exciting things.
We met on Necker Island, which was an amazing experience. I actually put him on an ice bath.
Yeah.
So there's an ice bath or a cold plunge on Necker Island. I was like, Pelo, let's go. You're from South Africa. Like, it's you can do this.
It was quite an experience.
Yeah.
I didn't look out for that. We were talking about hip hop, and the next thing, ice came into it.
Yeah. It was my inner Viking that had to do that.
Without a doubt.
But what was that experience like for you?
Well, for me, that was mind-blowing, right? Because, my context was, whilst I was still working, I was working for, one of the second largest brewers. And during that time, one of the things that elevated my mind was, Sir Richard Branson's Losing My Virginity, And for me, that was what got my mindset changed, And fast forward 20 years later to then being able to be invited to the experience on the island, it was mind-boggling. Even till today, the experience for me was literally a dream come true. And have those experiences that we had there, I still remember, like, for instance, meeting you, it was the most random. I had a Wu-Tang t-shirt on, and here we are about to have lunch, and you're like, Wu-Tang is for the children. I'm like, okay, what do you know about Wu-Tang, And, the conversation that we had post that, for me was one of the most exhilarating ones. The people that I met there, elevated my mind. I always want to be around people who can be able to take me to the next level. And that experience for me, over and above, being able to experience, a person 20 years ago who had influenced my life, to then being able to go into entrepreneurship, take that first step, be a bit crazy, take a chance on yourself, fail, get up again, do something wild, that all those experiences, led me to that moment. And, for me, it was mind exhilarating.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. So, Ellen, what makes a great friend?
Ooh, what makes a great friend? Well, first of all, I just want to say friendship makes everything better. I think every single person should have more friends, and I think having a best friend is one of the best experiences in life. I think it's so important, especially now, this idea of being a good friend, because I've been thinking about it. Really, friendship to me is the foundation of all really good relationships, and it really does make everything better. Like, it makes business better. I was talking to the photographer in the back, and we were talking about how in business they say know, like, and trust. Like, we want to work with people who we know, we like, and we trust. What does that sound like? That sounds like friendship to me. You want to have great family relationships. I have great relationships with all my siblings, and it's because we're friends. We hang out. We love being together, and every possibility, everything that I've been able to do in my life, truly, either it came from my close family, but more than that, almost every opportunity I've had came from friendship. Every podcast I've been on, every stage I've been on, every place I've been invited to has come from friendship. So to me, being a really good friend is to see someone, to see them, to really see them. I think in our society, it's hard to really see someone because we're so flooded with Instagram and social media, and we like to tell everyone the version of ourselves we want, right? Everyone to see. But for someone to see the good, the bad, the ugly, to be able to flip through the chapters of life together. And I have a really good friend. Her name's Audrey. We've been friends for 15 years, and she knows absolutely everything about me. In fact, we laugh because she knows things I forgot about myself. She's like, remember that guy you dated? Remember Brad? I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, oh my gosh. But to really see someone. And the second thing is to know them. So it's one thing to see a person. It's another thing to say, no, I know that person. One of my favorite quotes about friendship is, a best friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you've forgotten the words. And I think there's always going to be that moment when you forget the song in your heart and you're going to be in a deep, dark place, and having a friend sit in the hole in the ground with you and sing the song of your heart back to you is truly one of the best things in the world. I honestly would not be here probably without some of my closest friends. So to see them, to know them, and then to love them for who they are and what they are, not just the good, but for all of it. And so to have someone who can look across the table to you, who knows everything about you and has been there, who loves you, who supports you, who celebrates you. I'm 100% against this idea of, you can do it on your own. Okay, sure, you could do it on your own, but why? Why would you want to? How many of you, by the way, came with a friend or came because a friend brought you or told you about this event? Yes, I love it. Let's go. Okay, give your friend a high five. Let's go. I love that. Oh, amazing. We're all up here because a friend invited us, so we're with you. But yeah, if you want to be a better romantic partner, man, be a good friend, right? Someone who's kind and thoughtful, who cares about you, who wants to see you, who wants to know you. One of the best phrases I think I've ever heard, it was this woman, and she really didn't have a lot of friends. And I was like, well, what does a best friend mean to you? Because she's like, I haven't had a best friend, I don't think, in my whole life. She's incredibly successful, by the way, one of the most successful people you'll ever meet, famous. And she's like, I don't have any friends. I was like, well, what does a best friend mean to you? And it was so crazy because she literally she's like, hold on just a sec. She grabs my phone, takes a picture of me. And she was like, if I was your best friend, I would look at this picture and I would think to myself, this woman is a masterpiece. And I would spend the rest of my life getting to know this person because I think she's so wonderful and fabulous and perfect. And I just thought, man, like, here's a person who wants a best friend so badly and has this idea, this beautiful picture of this is what friendship is. It's wanting to know the other person and seeing them as a masterpiece, and really seeing and knowing and love them. And so I just think in this society that we live in, we're so connected, And yet we're so disconnected, right? We're so connected with technology and we're so disconnected human to human to human. And so one of the best gifts I think you could ever give someone is your presence, meaning that you're all there, that you're really seeing them, that you desire to know them, and that you love them in the middle of all of that. And I think we have lost that in our society. 30% of people say they're lonely almost all the time. Most people don't have a best friend who would show up for them when they really needed it. And so to me, it's not a priority in a lot of people's lives, and I get that. You have family, you have careers, you have all of these things, but having friendships in each of those aspects will make your life so much better. If you're entrepreneurs and you own a business, do you know the #1 reason why someone will stay at your company? It's not money, it's not recognition, it's because they have a best friend at work. That's the #1 reason why people stay at a job. So if you want to be a better partner, you want to be a better sibling, even a better parent, you know, past the, once your kids get into the adult stage, why are they going to keep coming back and hang out with you? You know, is it because they truly enjoy seeing you and knowing you and loving you because you do the same thing for them? So to me, friendship has enhanced every aspect of my life, and it really is one of my favorite topics, and it's something I think we're missing today. There's too much loneliness in this world, and there's not enough friendship.
So I think in this crowd, most of us were thinking about what's possible. Some of us might have created vision boards or written down the goals, like where do I want to go, what do I want to accomplish, who do I want to be. But what I oftentimes see is that we don't give it that much thought, as in like, who do I want to be with, I said in the presentation today, like one person can totally change our life. And I do think this is an invitation for all of us to rethink, like, okay, could there be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or multiple people who could literally change your life by adding great friends and being a great friend as well. And
can I tell a quick story about that? A lot of people don't realize this, but there's so many people who would love to give back. And I love the idea of mentorship. I'm actually a mentor in Genius Youth. But so many people are looking for mentors, and I have gotten all my mentors, by the way, from friendship. Sitting with them and saying, hey, I care about you, I want to see you, I want to know you. And too often looking for those opportunities, people are so selfish about it. They're like, hey, Joe, what can I get from you? Hey, Elko, what can I get from you? You know, and it's like, wow, just getting to know them as people. I was being interviewed for our website, and there was a guy that was writing our origin stories, and it was like 2 hours where he heard my entire life story. And at the very end, I said, well, gosh, you know everything about me. I would love to hear your story. And he looked at me and he was like, I've been doing this for years. I've probably written hundreds of origin stories. Not one person has ever asked me my story. And we spent the next 3 hours talking about his story. And he, 2 weeks later, is like, hey, you don't know this, but I'm actually a Hall of Fame speaker. And I've only done this twice in my life, but I would love to coach you. You know, and that has happened in my life over and over again. Investment bankers and famous entrepreneurs. And it's just like, it's because when you take that attitude and you take that the world of possibility opens up to you when you're an authentic person that cares about other people. And Joe has a great book, What's in It for Them, that really talks about that too. But this concept of stop asking the world, you know, what can you give me? Stop asking people, what can you give me? And it's like, hey, how can I show up for you? How can I be there for you? How can I be present? How can I see you and know you? And the world truly will be your oyster. Every opportunity I've gotten has come from that. So I think it really ties in well with your story and also who you are as a person.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm curious, Joe, because you know you are one of the most connected human beings on this planet, and I've been a member of Genius Network and 100K now for 11 or 12 years. And I've seen a lot of people come and a lot of people go, and I also see, and you experience this probably on a daily basis, that there's a lot of people who show up for you and they love you and they want to, you know, work with you or do great things with you. And then, you know, you have this quote like, life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. There's also takers, people with taker energy. How do you put your guard down, as in how do you let people in Because I can imagine that it's quite hard because a lot of people want something from you. How do you receive people? How do you let them in and being open instead of like being on the fence or on guard?
You know, it's tough, especially in the beginning, because if you are a giver, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when you're going to be taken advantage of. Anyone that operates in the world and is providing, you become a magnet for narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths. But most people are good people, and most people just want to connect. And there's a lot of fear with that. And so you develop, as you go through life, if you pay attention, some people don't, to red flags. You avoid red flags. And in the beginning, I didn't even notice the yellow flags, and I would ignore the red flags. But after you get betrayed or screwed over or have enough pain, you figure out how to build up your spidey senses, I guess. And so, and in order to be a good giver, and I've learned a lot of this from Cherie, is you have to give to yourself. Giving doesn't just mean providing stuff to other people. It means also being able to receive, and that's often hard sometimes for givers. And since we're talking about friendship and stuff, if you think about, loneliness is a massive epidemic, I think, worldwide. And yeah, we are more, like Ellen said, we're more connected electronically than ever before in human history, but we're more disconnected. And the opposite of addiction is connection. And if people are disconnected, so, I was talking to this young 23-year-old guy who has this anti-porn app, and he was talking about trying to help OnlyFans models. I don't know if OnlyFans is a big thing out here. I have no idea. But in America, like OnlyFans is a lot of women selling themselves online. And it's funny saying that here in Amsterdam, right? So OnlyFans have lonely fans. And when you are constantly looking at other people for validation and you don't feel yourself. And so you got to give to yourself in order to be a good giver. And as far as takers, every human has a purpose in life, even if it's to serve as a bad example. And so, there are some people that hurt others. You've heard that before. And if someone's badly hurt, they will often hurt others. They'll be traumatized. But there's a lot of people that have been hurt that don't hurt others. They somehow take that pain, they take that angst, and they become some of the greatest helpers. So the people that I admire the most and the people that I think are the greatest givers have taken so much shit. They've taken so much pain. They've had adversity, but they've somehow connected with a source, nicknamed God, whatever, that allows them to have empathy and compassion. And you develop it not by thinking about it, but by actually generating it. See, confidence feels good. If you're skilled at something, everyone here on stage has had great accomplishments, but they're here on stage, right? And there's a lot of people that are sitting out here going, well, can I do this? Can I do that? And I would constantly put myself into positions where I could try to help somebody else in order to have them want to teach me something. And confidence feels good when you learn something. Courage doesn't feel good, but you have to operate with courage in order to get to where you want to go. See, the things, there's this famous, Joseph Campbell, this line, the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure that we seek. The things that are the scariest, the asking someone out on a date if you're single, or getting up on stage. There's never been a time where I've ever gone up on stage where I felt comfortable. I can do it, I've done it enough now, but I was scared shitless early on of speaking to anyone, never thinking that something like this would ever happen. Now I've spoken in front of 5,000 people and stuff, but it's one of those things. So if you are a giver, expect that some people will take advantage. Trust takes time. You can build rapport with someone relatively quickly, but to develop real trust with someone, you actually have to get to know the person. And the way that I judge who becomes a inner circle close friend is I look at people that are more powerful, how do they treat people that are less powerful? Anyone can get up on stage or write a book about how they're nice, about how they're, wonderful. Watch them, like, how do they treat their team? How do they treat a server at a restaurant? If someone opens the door, do they say thank you? So look at the little ways of how other people treat other people, and then that's how I, again, you don't have to accept anything I'm saying. Just for me, I try to look at how do they actually live their lives? Are they very caring? Are they empathetic? And are they helpful? And then I will continue to support and help people because, with my book, I'm glad you plugged that because you said I'm a promoter.
You're welcome. I'm here for you.
Yeah, no. So the thing is, has anyone here read How to Win Friends and Influence People? Yeah, amazing book. I would have never written my book without Dale Carnegie's book. And what I found, it's not just about winning friends and influencing people, it's winning the right friends and influencing the right people. So for me, and I would recommend this for you, align yourself with people that are aligned with you. And don't try to win the approval of people that are rejecting you continuously. And it's weird because humans want to get acceptance from people. And oftentimes if someone disses them or pays no attention, they will try to work really hard. And I say that because I was that person. I wasted so much of my time trying to get the approval of people that I should have not wasted my time with. But you know what? That's how I learn stuff. That's how everyone learns stuff. So, and always go first. Always go first. If you see someone that's alone, go and say hello. And you develop it. And so do something every single day that scares you, that you have to take. And that doesn't mean run out in front of traffic. That's stupid. Not that type of scare. But something where you go up and talk to someone. Because you said what is possible? There's a ton of stuff that is possible. But if you don't believe it's possible, and if you don't act with courage, what I hope, at least from my perspective, is that everyone here listens to you and all of these people that have flown from all over the world to come and sit here, and you have that little dream, that it could be a big dream, but it's something that you're not taking action on, and in some way, shape, or form, this operates as a domino. And think about the people in your life that have been the greatest givers to you, that have been the greatest dominoes, because some dominoes are positive and other dominoes can destroy your life, but only if you let it. And you have to in order to be a great giver, you have to take care of yourself. I mean, if you're feeding crappy food to yourself, if you're not exercising, if you're not sleeping, the analogy that I like using is I think pretty much everything is legal in Amsterdam. So I'm assuming gambling's legal too? Yeah, okay. So if you had $1 million racehorse, and every time that horse would run a race, you'd win $1 million. How would you treat that horse? You'd get the best trainers, the best nutrition, proper rest. You would not have that horse staying up till 3 in, snorting crystal meth and watching porn, hanging out in the red light district all night, whatever. Maybe, I don't know. But you would not have that horse hanging out with loser horses. You would have you would not have that horse in races that are wrong races. Well, the punchline is you're the $1 million racehorse. And so when you see another human, if you look at them, who said it here? If you look through the eyes of someone else and you see that magical, wonderful, undeveloped person, and how do you treat a best friend? You give them a lot of slack. That's how you would treat a best friend. You got to give yourself some slack too. One thing is people, they've fucked up. They've made mistakes. They have shame. I mean, I lived with it. It controlled my life. And forgiveness is giving up the hope that one day you're going to have a better past. Because you're not going to have a better past. All you can do is make it better by how you reframe it. People are in pain. People are hurting. You're hurting. So help reduce suffering. Look for the pain. One of the quickest ways to build rapport with people is to find out where they're suffering and help to do it, but also you have to ask for help too. Because if you don't ask for help when you need it, you know, you end up getting resentful and stuff. So that was a lot of rambling about I don't know what. But I hope that answered maybe some of the questions. So.
Thoughts, anybody?
The way I handle people that could take advantage of me is I focus on being universally kind but selectively generous. And by doing it that way, I protect myself, protect my time and attention and energy. The other thing is related to friends. I think one way to look at friends, at least that's the way I look at friends, somebody that gives you support without control, somebody that brings you joy without conditions, and somebody that unconditionally accepts you no matter what. How's that?
Why can't I say it under a minute? Like what? Like, well, I don't like that. It takes me forever just to land the plane. I mean,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
We got to ask you a question. Have you talked about what you're most excited about? Because I couldn't understand anything that you were saying, and we're all kind of sitting back there going, well, does anyone here speak Dutch? I don't even know what's being said out there. You could have been talking shit about every one of us, and none of us would have known.
Only about you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I would deserve it. But what are you excited about?
Man, a lot. So, yeah, government doesn't know yet, but we started homeschooling like literally last week. So we make the big decision, and we already got a fine, by the way. Een dwangbevel, wat was het? Criminele activiteit, een misdrijf. Ja, we hebben al een misdrijf gepleegd. Anyway, so I was just talking about you. So we decided to do homeschooling, and what I'm super excited about is that my international career is getting a little bit of shape, how do I say that? It's taking shape. I spoke in Key Largo last week. I have to speak in Austin this year. I have to speak in Philadelphia, in New York, I think. I have to speak in Fort Lauderdale and a bunch of other places. And I've been dabbling with going international for like 10 years. I mean, we talked about this, but I've never really done it because in a way it felt lonely for me to pursue an international career without having my family involved. And now we're on this crossroads where we will be doing homeschooling, and we will take our kids and we will travel the world and live on the world. We'll keep a place here. But it's super exciting. So, for example, last week, Key Largo, family retreat, it was a lot of fun. And the kids were there as well, and they're learning and they're connecting with people. The week before, we were in Mosquito at John Radcliffe's place, and the kids are there as well, and they're learning. And so I see my kids grow. I mean, you all saw Otis on stage So the interesting thing is that we just send off our kids to a school, and there are so many great schools and great teachers. So this is not a bashing of the school system, because it's an amazing system in a lot of ways. But there's no control on, the environment. And environment is everything. We've been talking about friendship. We've been talking about environment, and for my children to be with us and be in amazing environments. I mean, you've met Otis at Genius Network, and it's been game-changing for him to be there. And Dani on Necker Island, it's been amazing for Dani to be on Necker. And I have the ability and the opportunity to be with amazing people, and now having my children be a part of that as well. And my team, I really have like this sweet spot moment that my team is amazing, my friends are amazing, family is amazing, my career is really going well. So I'm like, wow, I'm super, super excited about this new chapter of my life. And so, yeah.
Awesome.
Closing thoughts. We got like 5 minutes left. So, Cherie, what's most alive in you? I copied this question from you, by the way. Yeah.
So I'm really excited about possibilities. I actually started my 6-month sabbatical on July 1st. Yesterday, I've been working, at least I started working about 25 years ago, right out of medical school. And so this is the first time in creating space. And I'm excited about possibilities. And one of the things that I started it in Amsterdam, so that's awesome, and celebrating you. But yeah, just giving space to think, to create, to let things flow through. I've always, want to achieve things, and now it's the ability to cruise downhill a little bit and kind of figure out what is the next phase, and being able to play a little bit, do things I normally wouldn't do. And yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Talk about your race. You did a race like exactly a month and a day ago, which was a big deal. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Talking a little bit about what Joe mentioned about the Joseph Campbell line, the cave you fail to enter holds the treasure that you really seek. So June 1st, which was just a month ago, I went back and did something that basically changed my identity for 10 years. In 2015, I was doing this Escape from Alcatraz triathlon, which is a race that if you know much about San Francisco, you jump off the boat, you swim 1.5 miles, 56-degree water, then you do a bike for 18 miles, and then you run for 8 miles. And 10 years ago, I did the swim and I did the bike, and I was going downhill at 40 miles an hour, and I crashed. And I broke all the bones of my face. I had a head injury. I was unconscious for 20 minutes. I woke up in a hospital. And through that period, for the last 10 years, I completely was fearful. I changed my identity. I was really into sports and being an athlete. And I just became a different person. I didn't know who I was. And I just I knew this is something I needed to do. So I took the courage. And I knew that this was the turning point in my transformation for myself. So I decided to do the race. And it was amazing. So I did the race. And all of the stuff that you guys talked about on stage today, just being present, being in the moment, accepting myself, feeling every part of my physical body and all the emotions that came through was just part of that healing process. And it was just one of the things that just as I mentioned earlier, I just felt that I was complete with myself because I just felt every single moment of that race. I was laughing, I was just looking at the people, I was having fun, and that's for me was important, and it was just super epic. And I've taken so many lessons from that race, and I've written it down, and this is for me to find that space. And one of the most important things I learned on that race is, in life we always have goals and achievements, and we always want to get somewhere and do something, but going uphill was the easy part. I crashed coming downhill. And at that moment, I realized that when you achieve something, say you're very successful in business and you sell your company or you achieve something, that's when you can get lost. And being able to maneuver the downhill and being able to maneuver what happens afterwards was just as important. And that's the path I'm on right now. So I decided to take 6 months off work, and I'm just giving space to explore and see what happens.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah. So we're about to end this beautiful evening. Oren, I'm also excited. We will do an event next week in Amsterdam on July 8th. So that's exciting. Yeah, I would just, first of all, thank all of you for being here. Really, really awesome. Yeah, give it up. What do you wish for everybody that's here? What do you wish for everybody?
Wow, that's a great question. So, yeah, back in January, my now fiance and I lost our home in California in the fires, and it was devastating, and much of our community was uprooted. And it was just a really, really challenging time that we have since gone through the phase of devastation, restoration, rejuvenation, and thank God we're in like pure creation and appreciation now. And one of my deepest prayers coming out of that catastrophe, which would be my prayer for all of us, is that, you know, while chaos and catastrophe, it just has this way of galvanizing the human spirit and awakening heart and kindness. And I saw such a coming together in that city, from community and the city, and there was just this like uprising of generosity and kindness and community and unity. And one of my deepest prayers coming out of that is that we set the bar, and that becomes the new norm, and that we don't have to have such tremendous devastation to wake us up to that which we already want to do in our heart and our soul anyway, which is to be kind, which is to be generous, which is to be friendly with one another. And so my wish for all of us and for all of you is that you connect to that place inside you. You know, if you imagine yourself at the end of your life and what you may be happy about, what you may be regretting, what's essentially going to be the most important to you at the end of your life, it's the simple things in life, like friendship, to prioritize that now to the best of your ability. And I also just wish for all of you to just know, like, how precious you are, and to be extra, extra, extra graceful and kind to yourself and to the people that you love.
Ja, dank jullie wel allemaal voor jullie komst. Ik heb enorm genoten. Ik hoop dat jullie ook hebben genoten. Ik hoop jullie natuurlijk nog een andere keer te ontmoeten. Fijne terugreis. En alle succes, liefde, alles toegewenst. Dankjewel.